tell me, let me guess, you from the town that I love best. Talk Memphis, I wish you would. Talk Memphis, you sound so good. Talk Memphis, high on the bluff. I swear I can't get enough listening to you talk that stuff. Talk Memphis, oh yeah, talk Memphis.
This is the Memphis Real Estate Hour on KWAM. And now, here's your host, Dean Harris.
All right, good morning, everybody. I am your host, Dean Harris, with CrestCore Realty. We're over on Summer Avenue. If you've driven by and seen our new building, feel free and stop by. I thank you guys for joining us this morning here on AM 990, the new Voice 107.9, or online at kwam990.com, where you can take us on the go. We've got Facebook Live, as we've been having for the last couple of months, so we're excited to welcome all of those folks joining us on Facebook Live as well. So guys, the Memphis Real Estate Hour, it's a show about real estate, obviously. We concentrate on investing in Memphis, in the ins and outs of what it takes to be a live, active investor. We'll have the local real estate professionals here on the show. From time to time, we'll have some government officials and different folks in our city that have come on and shared information with us on how to be a better investor. I also remind you guys every show that I am an investor. If you have that old home that you need to sell quickly, or you know somebody that has that home that they need to sell, give me a call, 901-619-6170, and I'll be happy to sell that home for you today. I've got investors just lined up, ready to get houses. So a little bit short on inventory, so I can definitely help you out with that. As I mentioned, we're on Facebook Live, so if you guys are listening to that, we are going to give away a $100 Visa gift card today. We're going to have a trivia question at the bottom of the hour, so we can try to involve some of our listeners. So if you guys are listening and you're not on Facebook Live and you hear the trivia question, you can jump on there real quick, like our page, and answer the question. You can also check out our website if you want to know more about us, CrestCore, the real estate brokerage side over there. You can go to CrestCoreRealty.com. You can register on there if you're looking for property or you're looking to learn more about becoming an investor. Go to CrestCoreRealty.com, and you'll be able to find some more information out there. If you heard us last week, we had both co-founders of CrestCore Realty, Douglas Skipworth and Dan Butler. Dan is a regular contributor, but it was nice to have Douglas and his insight here on the show. He's got a lot of good information. We talked about team building last week, how to build a team, why it's important to have a team, not just with beginner investors, but investors that have been in it for a while. Experienced guys, if you haven't built that team around you or you need to add more to it, check out last week's show. It is on our Facebook page, the Memphis Real Estate Hour, so you can go in there and see some of the old shows. Today's show, we're going to have Dan Butler. He's in studio with us. We're going to be talking about how to find a great investment property. So there's obviously a million different ways that you can go about looking for one. We're going to talk about some of the best ways for us to do that. I'm going to have the investment of the week on the bottom of the hour. I've got two really good properties I'll be excited to share with you, so tune in for that, and then we'll have our trivia question here at the bottom of the hour. But let's get right into it. Dan, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We're going to jump right into this morning how to find great investment properties. Last week we talked about building our team, what I guess important or more important factors in team members would be. Different levels of investors need different types of partners. But this week, let's talk about how to find those great properties. What are some of the first steps we go to when you're looking? I mean, you could be a seasoned investor, you could be a brand new investor, but what are some of the ways that you and Douglas started when you were guys looking for properties?
Well, last week we talked about, part of our discussions when we first started, our journey 2001 was finding deals and finding bank financing, right? Our senior partners to help us lend to houses. And, I kind of look at it like on the lead side, the deal side, and I drew it out, for maybe for the Facebook Live guys, but kind of a funnel. You got a lead generation funnel. You got your leads. That's all your potential opportunities, right?
Yep.
And then you got you funnel that into an opportunity, and then decide if that's really an opportunity or not, and then a closing, right? So the more leads you can get, the more opportunities there are, which then more closings you can have. So,
That's classic. That's with sales too, especially my line of work or a lot of real estate agents' line of work, and investors will find it the same thing. The more calls you make, the more opportunities you're going to get. The more letters you mail, the more anything you do, the more opportunity you're going to get. It's a strict numbers game.
Yeah, and so leading into that, to get there though, you have to have a plan, right? You can't just go out there and say, all right, let me go find a bunch of leads, right?
Let's go get them.
Let's go get them. That's what I talked to a guy last week. He just had no plan, just knew he wanted to buy real estate. And so some of this stuff that we're going to talk about today, I went back and said, hey, go think about these things and go talk to your bankers and go, talk to your family. What do you really want to do?
Right.
Because just to say, I hear, real estate's a good passive investment. That's a very broad statement, right?
It's a popular topic too.
Oh,
if you go to dinner with friends or you're at a church event or whatever you may be, you'll talk to some peers and you'll hear, oh, you're an investor. Oh, great. I've wanted to do that. I've loved to do that.
And without that plan, you see a lot of the guys that we end up helping sell their properties, they didn't have a plan, right? They just went and bought a couple or whatever.
Because it sounded good.
It sounded good. Somebody told them they should do it, but they didn't really know what they wanted, what area, all that kind of stuff. So
they didn't build a team.
No, they didn't build a team.
Have anybody around them that was experienced that could give them the right advice.
But to me, you break it down to four kind of areas to find deals.
Okay.
All right. You got to find what and we're going to break these down further, right? We're going to discuss, go in deep dive, but overview. What kind of property are you looking for? Mm-hmm. Who can help me? Where's my source for these leads?
Yep. How
can I find that property or that person? Kind of a twofold approach. How can I find the properties I want, and how can I find the people to help me get there?
Yep.
So that's number 3. And then which properties, what kind of analytical tool, how are you going to analyze which properties are the real opportunities?
Because we can make anything look good on paper.
Oh yeah.
You can make it look real good on paper, but until you actually get it, you don't know
what a real. That's right.
Don't know what a real property is. So, what kind of property am I looking for? What when you're thinking about that, me, I would say one that's cash flowing, right? I mean, one that's a brick home, a solid home. That's kind of my first thought. What are some of your first thoughts when it's what kind of property am I looking for?
Well, I mean, it's funny, just thinking back over the years, what I was looking for 15 years ago, it looks totally different than what I'm, was looking for 3 years ago, 2 years ago, even the last year.
That's interesting. Share that criteria. So, like, when you first started, what were you looking at?
So I was really narrow focused on a certain area, didn't really care about beds, baths, that kind of thing. Then I opened it up because I just saw I needed more deal flow, so I went to a bunch of other zip codes without really there's probably 1 or 2 zip codes that I didn't do, but other than that, I would do anything. Now I've kind of said, all right, wait a second. Look at our pool of houses. Which ones are performing the best? So now we can go, let's go, hey, what's the similarities in those houses? Is it brick? Is it a certain zip code? Is it a certain neighborhood? Map code? What is it that's kind of driving?
You're using analytics.
Analytics, yeah. Instead of just pro forma.
Yeah.
I was on a call last night with 2 guys that, can you do a pro forma for an apartment building? Well, yeah, I can, but let me see the actuals from what the guy's doing.
We all
can.
Then, yeah.
We can all, make it look rosy and pretty, but yeah, so that's, then you got to decide, before we get into what are the criteria, you decide where you want to put that criteria. You want to put it on the front end. We talked about the leads at the top.
Yep.
And the closings at the bottom, leads, opportunities, closings, or do you want to put that, that criteria kind of in the, after you've apply that criteria after you've seen the lead? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You want to put it on the front end and only see the criteria you want, or do you want to go?
So in other words, you need to decide if you want to look at every single house that's out there.
That's right.
And every
then
opportunity.
Apply your criteria. That's right.
Or get to your criteria and then
only
find
see that,
those.
right.
That's right.
And
what do you choose? What's your choice?
At least what do you choose?
I go to my criteria and then go look for that because I'm specific in I help investors buy more houses than I buy, so I look for what they're looking for. We pride ourselves. I've used this phrase a ton of times, but we turn into a chameleon for our investor. Whatever their goals are with their money is what I go look for and get the best deal. So if they tell me they're looking for XYZ, I go find XYZ and try to find the best XYZ property that I can find.
Right.
So that, to me, I guess I put the criteria on it first and then go. What about you?
I would love to say I put criteria first, but I'm an optimist, and I like to just the old school of I can do something with every house I see. So I'd say I'd want to see every house first, and then there's usually something you can do with that house, sell it to somebody else, call somebody, let them know about it, just to kind of give them a friendly referral, something, you know what I mean?
So you're looking at it as there's no opportunity out there that I can't do something with.
Correct.
That's kind of our philosophy at CrestCore when it comes to houses coming into us.
That's right.
Because I've got so many people that are looking for so many different things.
The gamet's wide.
It's wide. I mean, if you a small house, a big house, or anything in between, we've pretty much got investors to buy it. So so you look at it. So you're kind of looking at it from more of an investor standpoint.
Yeah, and I guess I should preface that. I'm looking at it for all our investors, all our friends and network of people that we deal with. Like, Alex at CB might have a house that I could care less about, but he loves that house. You know what I mean? Like,
That's right.
Let me try to go get it to Alex. That kind of, that kind of concept. Sure. And then it helps kind of friends helping friends, just lift each other up.
Yeah.
So that side, I'd say I do criteria, second.
Right. Mm-hmm.
For myself, I guess, to your point, criteria would be first. Like, okay, well, I'm only wanting these 2-3 things.
Or a certain kind of financing.
Or certain kind of financing. Yeah, so that my criteria is different. So, but now that we, getting the criteria, kind of stepping back, what is the criteria?
Great segue, Dan.
Yeah, no,
that's good.
Just roll right into that,
good,
right?
Dan.
Like that. I'm learning on this radio thing how to.
That's right. It's a great segue. All right, criteria. Let's talk about examples of that criteria. Mm-hmm.
So people get into. I mean, you can take the location. All right, Memphis.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's pretty big. That's
300,000
300,000 parcels. Oh, wait. Let's go to zip code. Okay, now let's go to map code.
Now there's 20,000.
Yeah, now let's go to street. Mm-hmm. Now let's go to, block by block. You know what I mean? Like block by block, then street. So you can decide. To me, I've kind of narrowed it down to, for myself personally, I would say map code. But I think,
Tell people what map code is. They don't understand. It's an MLS.
Map code is a segment of a zip code. So 38122 might have what?
2 or 3 map codes.
2, 3, 4 map codes. So kind of northeast, southwest, kind of that kind of quadrants of a zip code. And I'm probably botching that.
But there's several. It's a 3-digit number and then a lettered code.
Yep.
So you might have in 38118, my favorite zip code to have people invest in. You probably have got half a dozen.
Yeah, like 72A or 72B.
70, like 625A, B, C, and D. So it breaks it down into that.
So then do you want corner lots, big lots, no land, zero lot? There's all kinds of on that. Then what type do you want? Single family, multifamily, new construction, only 19. Hedge funds have this. They got criteria out the wazoo.
It's pretty specific.
Got to be after 1980, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage. I mean, they've got
no power lines above it.
Oh, is that one of them?
No pools, no power lines, has to be fenced, and it's 1990 and newer. It's got to be 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage.
Wow.
They've got extremely specific criteria. This topic right here, when we're talking about type, that is for a new investor. That's obviously the question I have in every scenario. Should I buy a big multi-unit complex with 20 doors? Should I buy 4 houses? And I think it's specific on what that person is looking for. And it's up to us to help them understand. This is what you get yourself into with multifamily. This is what you get yourself into with single family. New construction, especially new construction these days.
Just like the 2 guys we had from California, or one was, where's he?
Sacramento and one Portland. They're here together.
College roommates.
Yep.
One is just multifamily only, slamming those of us that do single family.
Yeah, think we're crazy. Yeah.
And then the other guy's, high end, single family, slow and steady, one at a time.
And he won't. What's funny is that they've tried to hammer him on the multifamily, and he doesn't waver from it. He's pretty convicted in his thoughts and what he thinks is the right thing to do, which I think is interesting. So I'm glad you brought that up. So 2 guys we had in town last week, college roommates, known each other
for
almost
30
their whole
years.
lives. Yeah. One of them owns a large portfolio of single family homes in Vegas and Dallas and here and other places. And then the other one owns 3 multi-unit complexes in Portland. and they each think each other's crazy for doing what they do. So there is no right or wrong.
There is no right or wrong.
I say the same thing with guys that have $350 a month rentals and guys that have $1,500 a month rentals. They both think each other's crazy for doing it.
Right.
What matters is what your goals are and what you're setting up for your money.
Long term.
Yeah, long term. What do you want it to earn? What do you want it to? What do you expect from that in return? So you need to make up your own mind. There is no right or wrong, because if you buy it right, every investment's a good one.
Right.
You love that, don't you?
Buy it right. That's right.
What about the economic impact and factors that you're thinking about when you're looking at a property?
Yeah, I mean, you got to decide the price range. We have investors that want $20,000-$30,000 houses. We want, I feel like our sweet spot is probably 40 to 60.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a subset that wants 70 to 90, maybe 100. Very few that want 100 plus.
Yeah.
But you got to decide that. You got to decide on what you're willing to pay. Like, in the turnkey model, sometimes it's 100% of appraised value, maybe even higher than appraised value.
Mm-hmm.
Some investors call us and say they only want something that's 50% of value, but then they want to put the value in it by fixing it up. Some are okay with 80 to 90%, appraised. They want some skin in the,
something,
some equity in there, but not, don't have to have a ton, but just some upside.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got to decide what cash flow you want, and that kind of gets into your terms. But you look at a house and say, all right, it's going to rent for $700. I know that in that price range, rent range, I'm going to get $100 a month, for example.
Right.
Or do you want $50 a month, but you want a chance for appreciation? And
right.
And we'll get into that probably at the end with that graph that I showed you earlier today. That just I just love. I think it's the best graph I've seen.
Yeah.
Just because it just helps articulate what we try to explain to people about. You got a low end house that has high cash flow potential, but the volatility is higher. There is no appreciation.
I talk to investors every day about, do you want to be ultra conservative and safe,
right?
Or somewhere in the middle, or do you want to really take some chances?
Yeah.
Taking some chances, in my opinion, is buying up in 38127 and some of the South Memphis down below downtown properties.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get them cheap.
3109.
Yeah, 3109, 106.
Yeah.
You can get them cheap. 10, 12 grand. You put 5 or 6 into it, it'll rent for $500.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great return. But what you just said,
and I think
turnover, high maintenance, and
well, if you look at this graph, and we'll show it to the Facebook guys at the end, but I think the interesting part is, I would say that for us, we probably should put numbers to it, but it seemed like the sweet spot's in that 40 to 60,000, where you're not on the lowest end, but you're certainly not on the highest.
Yep.
So you got some chance for a little bit of appreciation, pretty decent cash flow, but not like rocking out of the park.
Yep.
And less volatility.
Yep.
So that's an 850, 800, 900 rent.
Which is exactly where I take
exactly where we
I take all new investors to that 38118 zip code, and the reason why, not because I'm just so in love with 38118, but it's that price range. Mm-hmm. They're brick homes, 40 to 60 grand. They rent from $750 to $900. Usually brick property. I think I said that. Usually brick, larger lots, and they're over there by the airport. So you can get some good tenants that are working over the airport. Yep. All right, I tell you what we're going to do. I'm live in the studio with Dan Butler with CrestCore Realty. I'm going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a few minutes. We're going to continue our conversation this morning about how to find great investment properties. What is some of the criteria you should use? What are some of the criteria we've used before? So stay tuned. We're going to do our trivia question when you get back. You're listening to the Memphis Real Estate Hour on 107.9 FM.
You're listening to the Memphis Real Estate Hour on KWAM. We'll be right back after this.
Now, here's Mid-South weather from News Channel 3 Severe Weather Center. Brought to you by the Crescent Club, hosting the people and ideas that moved Memphis forward for nearly 30 years. Poplar and I-240. Call for a free tour at 901-684-1010.
Continued partly sunny, hot and humid. High temperatures nearing 90 this afternoon. Light winds from the south and southwest. Isolated afternoon showers will produce less than 1/10 of an inch of rain. Low 70s for tonight and will be near 90 for highs over the next several days. Visit Todd Lochner at Principal Toyota. Exclusive employee pricing event going on. You pay what they pay on Camrys, RAV4s, Corollas, the complete Toyota lineup. 385 in Winchester. PrincipalToyota.com. I'm News Channel 3's Todd Demers. On The Voice, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
Griffin, Clift, Everton, and Mashmeyer, PLLC, is a full-service law firm with over 50 years of experience in the Memphis area. Real estate closings have continued to be the forefront of their law practice, which include residential, commercial, and development real estate transactions, drafting and negotiation of real estate contracts and leases, business information, preparation of wills, probate, and estate planning. Their firm represents a number of builders, developers, investors, and local lending institutions, and is approved to close transactions for most local banks and mortgage companies. In addition, they offer title search, title examination services, and title insurance through several well-established title insurance companies in the Memphis area, as well as Tennessee and Mississippi. They strive to offer services in a prompt and timely fashion while advising and representing clients in a zealous and professional manner. Should their offered services be of need, please contact William N. Griffin Jr. or any of their attorneys at 901-752-1133. They can also be found online at www.gcemlaw.com or on Facebook.
Is it a good time to buy or refi? Is it a buyer's market or a seller's market? Are interest rates going sky high soon? Hi, I'm Ludi Calloway, the mortgage lady at iBank Mortgage. I tell my customers to ask questions, get answers. So join me every Monday morning at 8 and I will tell you what's going on in today's still changing mortgage world. Remember, most people think about mortgages a few times in their lives. I think about them every single day. Tune in Mondays at 8.
Investors or buyers, if you're looking for the best customer service and most competitive rates on a home loan, come to Brighton Bank. They offer a quick approval process, fast closing, and they even finance 85% of purchase price in most cases. At Brighton Bank, they work with every kind of loan, VA, FHA, USDA programs, traditional conventional financing programs, long-term fixed financial, and bridge loans made easy. When it comes to home loans, they mean business. Call them today, 901-758-1740. That's Brighton Bank at 901-758-1740.
You're listening to the Memphis Real Estate Hour on KWAM. And now, here's your host, Dean Harris.
All right, welcome back to the Memphis Real Estate Hour. I'm your host, Dean Harris. I'm with CrestCore Realty. We've got Dan Butler here in the studio this morning. We're talking about how to find great investment properties. And so far, we've talked about our lead generation funnel, funneling it down into closings, which is kind of the ultimate goal. Leads, opportunities, go to closings. We talked about the 4 key areas to find deals and where to start looking for those and how to start looking for them. We got into our criteria, the type of property we're looking for, and some of the economic questions and things you should answer before you start to look. The next thing we'll talk about is our condition. But first, let's do our trivia question for you guys that are listening out there. I mentioned the new brokerage, CrestCore brokerage website this morning. So the first one to type it into the Memphis Real Estate Hour Facebook page, what the new CrestCore brokerage website is, you get a free Visa gift card for $100. So jump on the Facebook page now, the Memphis Real Estate Hour, and type in what the new brokerage website is. Okay, great. All right, so condition on some of these properties, Dan. What do you think from a condition standpoint we should be looking at? I mean, obviously you don't want one with the roof caved in, so we know the obvious ones, but what are some of the other condition factors that you look at when we're looking at property?
Speaking of that, I was in 38106 driving, looking at a couple of things yesterday and saw half a roof, just old plywood. And I was like, is this thing being worked on? Because the plywood was like aged and, you know what I mean? It wasn't just brand new.
It's leaking?
Yeah, just a little bit. But it was shameful because like that's the character of that house was unbelievable. It had a great front porch, had a 2-story.
Yeah.
And somebody has just left it and it's just, half the roof's on and half of it's just plywood, and just it's just slowly
by
just
the minute deteriorating.
by the minute. Yep.
Yeah, that's what you think. Oh, I got to put this new roof on, but man, if you leave it off, or you find a way to do something with it, because man, every day it's getting worse when you have situations like that. So
now, the condition, to your point, I bet you and I are probably opposite on this.
What's that on condition?
Like I'm okay with a $20,000 rehab.
I'm okay with it. It's a lot more stressful on the buyer who's financing. If you're financing a property, it's way more exposure and stress on you if you've got a $25,000
and how to close it,
how to close it. Yeah, so
that's a good point.
Yeah, but if you're paying cash, then great. Yeah, because everything's new at that.
Well, that's why I like it. I mean, I just think you got new flooring, new potential new plumbing, new electrical, maybe new roof, new HVAC, new water heater. So like all that is new, so that your short long term issues go way down as far as maintaining that house.
Yeah.
As long as you're doing our preventive maintenance and that kind of thing. But, because that plays into the dollars, how long is the rehab going to take? Mm-hmm. If you got money out there and your expectation is to earn money day one, that's where the whole turnkey thing kind of comes into play. Or are you okay with, taking 3 or 4 weeks of rehab and then getting it released, so you're 2 months down basically?
So that's a conversation I have every day as well. Do I buy a turnkey property that I can just go close on, and from day one I'm earning money back?
That's right. Return on your investment.
That return right away. Or do I choose your turnkey alternative program that we have at CrestCore? It takes a little bit longer to get to that point, but where I'm getting in the home, my all-in number's 20%, 25% less than turnkey.
Right.
So it's just a extreme passive versus being a little bit more involved with the process.
Yep. And then you got to think about the risk involved. Like is with the $20,000 rehab, there's probably code enforcement. And then once code gets in there, they could point something else out and make you rerun a whole gas line or a whole electrical meter. I mean, who knows? Plumbing. They could ask you to do several things to upgrade that house that you weren't expecting. So that's an issue. Or there could be HOA expectations. You get into a certain neighborhood, or
Section 8's got a whole different criteria.
Yeah, Section 8. If you decide you want to go Section 8, to your point, are you prepared to make sure every window and one per room opens up, butterfly locks, all your switches and grounds and all that kind of stuff? So that's something to consider.
So condition is good. We're talking about the rehab that's required, how long it might take, the risk involved, the code, the HOAs in that specific community. Features and amenities, this is one that is the most vital part of what people talk to me about. Is it a 3-bedroom or a 5? Is it a brick home or a siding home? What are some of the features and amenities that you guys have looked for and that you don't, or that you stay away from?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that people look for sometimes just 1-story ranch. Some people don't want 2-story or split level.
Why is that? I hear that some too, but I'm sitting here trying to think of why in the world do you care?
Well, a couple things. It depends if it's going up or down. If you're going down, usually means there's a basement.
Water.
Basements in Memphis. We just we're not very good at the builders back in the day. Where I'm from, South Carolina, basements are everywhere, so everybody got really good at building basements and waterproofing and all that stuff. Here, not so much.
I've always asked that question. I've been in real estate a long time, and the question I get from builders and developers is the ground's too soft, it's too rich, so close to the river, that it's shifty. It can be. I mean,
sure.
Not every one of them, but there's just more risk for it.
I mean, there's not a basement that I can think of that we haven't had some sort of
problem. Yeah.
It's not end all be all, but
my buddy in St. Louis, it's living area. That's their playroom.
And does it get wet?
No.
Okay.
No, it's perfect.
They knew what to do.
They knew, the builder up there, knew exactly what they were doing. Mm-hmm.
But going up, then you got both going up and down. You got liability stairs, handrails, kids falling, breaking bones. Mm-hmm. So just from a liability standpoint, that's where my head goes. Square footage, which kind of plays in your beds, baths. Some people don't want to do one bath, and I get that. But certain areas, that's all there is. So that's fine. You got to know that area. You don't want to be in, I would say, Cordova and have a 3-1.
It only affects the rent, Dan. I'm finding this out that, yes, 3-2s are great. Yeah. They might rent a little quicker, but but they're only affecting the rent number by about $50.
Say 25 or 50 is what my guess would be.
Yeah, I mean, so in other words, in 38118, I can get you an 1,100 square foot 3-bedroom 1-bathroom rent for $800.
Yeah.
You can do a 3.2 with 1,300 square feet. It's going to get $850. I mean, you're not. It's a little bit different, but it's not a ton. And to be honest with you, the prices that these sellers are selling them at are just about the same. We're not seeing a huge difference.
So what's your thought? And then another amenity that comes to mind is garages.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like we hear the hedge funds want 2-car garage. I mean,
gotta have it.
I prefer not to have it.
It's
I'd rather have a carport.
with.
Yeah, it's more to keep up. I had 3 work orders last week for my personal houses that somebody ran into a garage door, or the motor's broken, or it's just something else to break.
Something else to keep up with.
You know, so I'd rather me personally, I would prefer to stay away from those. But
so in the price range of between 30 and 60. 65. It's not
many garages.
It's not many, and most people aren't asking and looking for it.
No.
If you're spending 80 to 120 to
That's when the garage
130,
becomes important.
you got to have it. It's not. No one wants to own a $110,000 home that doesn't have a garage.
Yeah.
You know, no matter where it's at. Just because the resale part of it, if you ever try to retail it or try to get it out there, it's tough to do.
What's funny about that is I don't have a garage. I don't know if I'll ever will. If I
Well,
don't
you have a
move.
carport, but you don't even park under it.
No.
Right. So I mean,
One does, one doesn't.
Right. Your wife gets that.
Wife
right?
gets, she gets the dry
carport.
spot. I
That's
get to walk in the rain. So
That's right. I've just been recently bumped out of mine.
Have you been bumped?
Yeah, been bumped
Yeah.
out. Bought a new car.
How's that feel?
You get bumped out. Well, it's all right right now.
Yeah.
We'll see in December.
when it's cold
It
outside.
takes 20 minutes to get that windshield clean. But yeah, so talking about features and 2-car garages and that sort of thing. I'm live in the studio with Dan Butler, CrestCore Realty, and we're talking about how to find great investment properties, and we've gone through how to funnel your leads. And gone through the keys to find them, what areas you're looking for, the criteria, the type, economic issues. We've talked about the condition that you need to look after, features and amenities, whether it's bed, bath count, or whether you want a garage or not. Now let's kind of shift over into who can help us, because unless you're just paying flat cash and you just got a bank full of it, you're going to probably need some help. Well, and even then, I guess you're going to need some help trying to find the right property. So. I'm obviously one person that can help you as a licensed agent. Who are some other people that can help us find some of these?
And several of these, the agents can actually help, right? So that we're going to go through. But the MLS is obviously a big one. There's all kinds of tools. I think even our website allows you to go search on the MLS, or different websites. But having an agent to help you get that access, send you alerts when a house meets your criteria.
I set those up every day.
Do you?
Yeah, just for investors to say, hey, I'm not interested right now, but set me up on a search.
Just
set
so
me
kind of
up.
watch for the market.
I just want to see what's going on, and of course, I don't mind doing it. So.
Yeah. Builders, getting to know, especially if you want some newer construction.
Yeah.
Find absentee owners.
Yep.
Kind of driving for dollars. What what you hear a lot of people say, like.
Tell us what that is. I know, but tell us what these is.
Yeah, just when you're driving along, you say, oh, wait, there's a dilapidated house. Wonder who owns that. And you stop and get the address, and maybe you talk to the neighbors. I've done that several times over the years where you just, hey, ma'am, do you know who owns this house? Oh, yeah, that's Betty, and here's her number. And
I'd like to sell it.
Sell it, yeah. I mean, it just creates a conversation. FSBO, you see a lot of those, a handwritten for rent sign in the yard is a good sign of potential somebody you could talk to.
Smaller investors, somebody you could get in touch with.
That's right, a hands-on landlord that, may not want to sell now, but maybe in the future, or they probably know somebody. Those guys, kind of stick together and kind of have a network.
I love this last one.
Wholesalers.
Those are my guys, man.
Yeah.
You got to have them. Wholesalers are some of the best assets I've got. I've got some really good ones that we work with. And
how many wholesalers do you think we have?
Active that send me houses, 25 to 30.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
25
now, I mean,
to 30.
Yeah, and out of that,
they're all different levels.
All different levels, but out of that, we probably close deals with 6 to 8 of them. I mean, because some of them are just in different markets that we don't have investors that buy in, or
right.
They've gotten a hold of properties that are too expensive.
Yeah,
I mean, it's amazing to see now. It's amazing to see the different wholesalers, which ones get better deals and which ones lock them up. We know some personally. We've got some friends that are. Wholesalers at this point, or flippers, or whatever Spencer is now at this point. But it's amazing to see the difference in what some investor or what some wholesalers will bring you and what some others are finding. So some of them are getting right to owners, and some of them are JVing and piggybacking off of other wholesalers and trying to get deals out there. Those are the ones we normally can't deal with.
Explain what a piggyback, JV, daisy chain. What is
Daisy
that?
chain. So what it means is if a wholesaler goes out there and he finds a property with a seller and he gets it for $30,000 and it's worth, $60,000. He's going to go out there and try to sell it for $40,000. Another wholesaler will get it from him and put it on there for $45,000. Maybe another one will get it and put it on for $48,000.
Right.
I've had one where we had 3 wholesalers involved, and the buyer still bought it because it made sense. He wasn't caught up in the middle. But
I've seen one with 7. That was my record.
7?
7 people
And
got
the deal
a check.
still got done?
Yeah. It was
Golly.
the first guy did such a good job,
Yeah.
but by the time,
6 other people got it.
Yeah, the client that we knew found it. It was 6 other people. Yeah.
So the closing attorney cut 7 checks.
Yep.
Jeez.
That was a record, but
What area
Anyway.
of town was that in? You remember?
I don't remember.
Man,
What?
oh, man.
So what? And then we're talking about agent. I know you're an agent, which works with wholesalers and builders and landlords and MLS. What about agents? Do they come to you now? Do you get many from agents these days?
Some. I get calls from agents that say, "Hey, I'm getting ready to list this property. It's a potential investment property or a flip property." So yeah, we've got some great agent partners, and there are very few agents in Memphis that are investor agents. There's a few, but there's very few like myself that 90% of my business is investment business. Yeah, I'll still do a retail deal, here and there, but it's not.
It's amazing that sounds like your wholesale network is bigger than your realtor.
It is
network, which is just
it
amazing.
is because they're going out because it's what I'm doing. I'm centered and focused around investment deals. So yeah, my daily calls and emails and conversations are way more with wholesalers than they are with other agents in the community.
Yeah.
All right, so we're here and you're talking about how can we find some of the best deals in Memphis. What are some of what's considered a great investment deal? So we've kind of run through the gamut. We're going to take a real quick break. We're ending here on who can help me. So we've got a few other highlights and points in that. Take a real quick break. We'll come back and wrap this up. You're listening to the Memphis Real Estate Hour on 107.9 FM.
You're listening to the Memphis Real Estate Hour on KWAM. We'll be right back after this.
Now here's Mid-South weather from News Channel 3's Severe Weather Center. Brought to you by the CrestCore Club, hosting the people and ideas that moved Memphis forward for nearly 30 years. Poplar and I-240. Call for a free tour at 901-684-1010.
Continued partly sunny, hot and humid. High temperatures nearing 90 this afternoon. Light winds from the south and southwest. Isolated afternoon showers will produce less than 1/10 of an inch of rain. Low 70s for tonight and will be near 90 for highs over the next several days. Visit Todd Lochner at Principal Toyota. Exclusive employee pricing event going on. You pay what they pay on Camrys, RAV4s, Corollas, the complete Toyota lineup. 385 in Winchester. PrincipalToyota.com. I'm News Channel 3's Todd Demers. On The Voice, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
Griffin, Clift, Everton, and Mashmeyer, PLLC, is a full-service law firm with over 50 years of experience in the Memphis area. Real estate closings have continued to be the forefront of their law practice, which include residential, commercial, and development real estate transactions, drafting and negotiation of real estate contracts and leases, business information, preparation of wills, probate, and estate planning. Their firm represents a number of builders, developers, investors, and local lending institutions, and is approved to close transactions for most local banks and mortgage companies. In addition, they offer title search, title examination services, and title insurance through several well-established title insurance companies in the Memphis area, as well as Tennessee and Mississippi. They strive to offer services in a prompt and timely fashion while advising and representing clients in a zealous and professional manner. Should their offered services be of need, please contact William N. Griffin Jr. or any of their attorneys at 901-752-1133. They can also be found online at www.gcemlaw.com or on Facebook.
Investors or buyers, if you're looking for the best customer service and most competitive rates on a home loan, come to Brighton Bank. They offer a quick approval process, fast closing, and they even finance 85% of purchase price in most cases. At Brighton Bank, they work with every kind of loan, VA, FHA, USDA programs, traditional conventional financing programs, long-term fixed financial, and bridge loans made easy. When it comes to home loans, they mean business. Call them today, 901-758-1740. That's Brighton Bank at 901-758-1740.
Is it a good time to buy or refi? Is it a buyer's market or a seller's market? Are interest rates going sky high soon? Hi, I'm Ludy Calloway, the mortgage lady at iBank Mortgage. I tell my customers to ask questions, get answers. So join me every Monday morning at 8 and I will tell you what's going on in today's still changing mortgage world. Remember, most people think about mortgages a few times in their lives. I think about them every single day. Tune in Mondays at 8.
You're listening to the Memphis Real Estate Hour on KWAM. And now, here's your host, Dean Harris.
All right, welcome back to the Memphis Real Estate Hour. I'm your host, Dean Harris, and I am in the studio with Dan Butler with CrestCore Realty today. We are talking about how to find great investment properties. So we've gone through a ton of these points, highlights, outlines of where you can go. We talked about kind of the 4 key areas to find deals. You need to think about what property you're looking for, the criteria, the type, some of the economic issues that surround it, the condition. You need to know kind of what type of condition property you're looking for, and then the features and amenities that it's got in it. Before our break, we just started talking about who can help me. You know, it's agents, builders, FSBOs, driving for dollars. We talked about that, where you drive around, and if you see a dilapidated home, you write that address down and maybe make a call, find out who the owner is, send a letter. Intermediaries, Dan, what are some of those that you've looked at over the years that have been helpful and assets for you when finding properties?
You know, I think your banking relationships, they're always going to have either they know of a house or they know somebody with a house, those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
So having local banking relationships, I've hammered that home with a lot of people here recently that, you know, had the large bank relationships, which, you know, kind of like you're a number, you know what I mean? Like we talked about that a little bit last week versus they know you, they know your face.
Yeah.
You know, they think of you when they think of, you know, whatever zip code you're in, and when the house comes up, they're going to let you know.
Because big banks are great. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, you're gonna go in, they're gonna take all your information down, key it in, and click enter. And if it's a big green light on the screen, then you get a loan, and if it's not, then you don't. There's no personal decision making.
Yeah. In fact, I heard a Bigger Pockets podcast on that last week, just talking about how banking relationships, people get so hung up on half a percentage point or whatever, and they'll go with the large institutions to say that 0.5% when they could have, you know,
No personal touch.
no personal touch, but it got that personal touch, paid 0.5% more. Now you got a, you know, vested relationship who's a guy, girl pulling for you. So it's just different.
Don't be so short-sighted on that
That's right.
half a point. You know,
Yeah.
see if you can develop the relationship.
You know, attorneys is another big one. All kinds of attorneys, probate, closing, divorce. I mean, there's all kinds of attorneys that you could partner with just to say, hey, when you think of some, you know, a property that comes up, think of me. Accountants, your court clerks, you know, knowing.
Sounds like you got personal experience with that one. Have you gotten some from court clerks?
You know, that's probably my weakest one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think I should spend some more time. I know, you know, somebody down there, a couple of guys down there, and I probably should get, you know, as I wrote this out yesterday, I was like,
I ought to make some calls.
I'll probably make some phone calls this week.
That's right.
Admin assistants for any of these guys. You know, they're the front line, right? They're the ones who are going to see these houses come through because they're the ones probably entering the data.
Yep.
You know, so if they can think of you first, that would be awesome.
Right.
Something to think about. So, yeah.
All right, so who can help me? We just discussed that. I mean, if you didn't, we just gave you about 10 different ways that people can help you. So that's definitely a key part of what we were talking about this morning is who can help. Before we move on to the last one, our trivia question today was the brokerage website. So I mentioned at the very beginning of the show, if you want to win a free Visa gift card, a $100 Visa gift card, post on the Facebook page, the Memphis Real Estate Hour, what the new CrestCore brokerage website was.
Yep.
So who can help me now? How will I find the property or the people connected to it? So when you're driving for dollars, or when you see a home, or somebody says, hey, the one down the street from me is boarded up, or whatever it may be, how can you find, the people that are connected to it?
I think telephone, face-to-face, driving for dollars, we talked about, joining certain clubs like MIG.
Yeah. Tell them what MIG is.
Memphis Investor Group. It's just local RIA, Real Estate Investor Association, that newbies to big, to people that have been doing it several years. To people, there's guys on there that have done it for 30, 40 years. They're in that club, so they have a wealth of knowledge and just a network there. The courthouse, we talked about that. Looking at the newspaper, your Memphis Daily News, the Business Journal, looking at where properties are transferring, and looking who's transferring what. The internet, you can pay for leads. I mean, there's all kinds of ways that you can find the leads.
The Daily News is a good one.
And to me, and Craigslist, I used to love Craigslist. I mean, I don't spend much time on there anymore, but it's definitely a great source. And what that does is, we talked about this bullet of finding the property or the people, right? But really, you're in that in these ones we just named, you're finding both.
Right.
So you call Craigslist. I mean, I can't tell you how many wholesalers, or a turnkey provider. One of our main turnkey providers that's provided us houses on the property management side for years came off me calling about an ad and Craigslist. We just struck up a conversation and hit it off, and that was 5 years ago probably. And we're still doing business with those guys today. And that was
Craigslist.
From Craigslist.
Yeah.
Just one call. I was like, I like that house.
Facebook has done that. I mean,
true.
If you, I'm on some,
put Facebook.
Yeah, I know. I'm on some wholesaler websites. Or Facebook pages, I should say, and man, I've sold many a houses through Facebook. I've helped investors buy many, because it's just a great way to reach so many people. It's the platform. We all know what Facebook is, but I mean, you create these pages and start posting houses on there. It's amazing the followers and the people that you get now on Facebook that are looking for real estate.
Yeah, I mean, I think, can you just type in like Memphis Real Estate or Memphis Wholesale?
Yeah, you can go in there and just type. I'm a member of all these things, but Memphis Wholesalers Group, Memphis Real Estate Investors Group, Memphis, there's all kinds of different investor, wholesaler pages.
So it'd be a good place
Facebook.
for our guys to start, our listeners to.
Yeah. You can start going
there.
Go to our show's Facebook page. I mean, I know,
you post from there, right? Links to.
Shameless plug. But I mean, we all the time are putting
other people's
homes, our homes that we have on there that we're selling. So Facebook is a great way to start looking for these. Your marketing, I guess you could start with the simple stuff, business cards and ads. But I mean, direct mail is one. So if you guys have ever been driving around the city, I say direct mail, and then I jump right to this. But if you've ever been driving around the city and you see that sign that says, I'll buy your house for cash, or I pay cash for houses or whatever, those are wholesalers. Those are ways that you can find properties. So if you want to pick up the phone and call one of them, they can do it. If you don't feel comfortable or versed enough to talk to them, then call me and I can do that. There's definitely different ways to do that. What are some of those other ones, Dan? Mark flyers, I guess?
Yeah, flyers, just putting up, dropping off people's mailbox, put them up in the local stores, placing an ad, putting out signs. One of our wholesalers I've worked with for years put on billboards on 240. He just found an opportunity where billboards just kind of sitting there idle because it's not really in a great area, but it's right there on 240, and he got it for dirt cheap. And
put his number up on
his number. He's getting a ton of calls just from doing that.
Is he really?
Yeah.
So the billboard thing is working.
It does, because people drive by.
People see it and they drive by it. Billboards, flyers, internet, and email. I mean, you can start. A lot of people say start with your sphere of influence. Find out if you can get anybody from there. But guys, if you're listening, I'm in the studio with Dan Butler with CrestCore Realty, and we're talking about how to find some of the best, great real estate deals here in Memphis. How do you go about doing that? We're covering marketing right now. To your telephone, your face-to-face, driving for dollars. We talked about that. Clubs and groups, courthouse steps, newspapers. I mean, it's all over. Yeah. If you're not able to find deals, you might not be good deals, but if you're not able to find houses, investment houses for sale, you're just not really looking. In my opinion,
it's how hard you want to work.
It is how hard you want to work. I mean, how bad do you want this? It's not. This isn't something that they hand you. This is something that you've got to go out and get and go out and find. And not only when you find it, but you got to find the right one, and then everything we've talked about today, I guess.
And the only thing I'd add to that is at some point you got to convert that into a system. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Because you could be all over the place, and that's what I was early on, just all over the place. Just
No system.
all these combined. That's all I was doing all day.
Right.
Just doing different stuff, trying to find leads to the houses that I wanted. And
that you were looking for.
yep.
Some of the top 8, things in your mind. What are the top things when it comes to prospecting for leads or marketing or how to find these property or the people connected to it? What are some of the top things that you go to?
Well, by far, it's got to be networking.
Mm-hmm.
I personally have a list, of people that I call, try to call them once a month, just checking in, let them know what I'm doing, what are they doing, how can we help each other, and you're basically just, number one, you strengthen a relationship, and number two, for both of you, you're kind of keeping what they need and what you need out in front of you, so that their name pops up when you think of things that come your way. So to me, networking by far is the number one. I think that people get so much in the weeds that they're not intentional with that. That's the number one way that things happen.
By telling everybody that you're looking for investment deals.
Yeah, and then just what you're doing and asking them what they're doing and
learning from each other
and what's win-wins. I think that's where we I think people fall short on that. So
yeah. Agents and MLS is one you've got down here. Driving
wholesalers, I'd put in that same. Driving and just seeing houses, placing ads. Your courthouse is a big one. FSBOs. A lot of people spend time on the internet. How many times we get stuff from people that in California say, "Hey, I saw this on Redfin."
All the time.
MLS. They don't have access, but they have access to the software that does have access. And,
that's right.
And then the targeted marketing. Which.
Going after that specific person.
Yep.
Which properties are real properties, Dan? Like I love the top line here. Separate suspects from prospects. That's great. So which ones?
So you get a lead.
How can we distinguish real investments and real properties to look into?
You got to apply your criteria. And then you got to understand. Is it a buy and sell situation or buy and assign, or what are you going to, or is it a buy and hold? And we've had several shows on that. It's like you got to decide, are you going to buy and sell or sign and sell, which you're just looking for cash, right?
That's it.
Are you going to buy and hold, or are you looking for long-term wealth? So that's some of the stuff you got to, apply your criteria and then decide what are you going to do with that house, and then pull the trigger and convert it from a suspect to a prospect and, try to get it to closing, right?
That's right. Okay, Dan, this has been great information. Yeah. I mean, this is info that people will use, that people can apply to their business as they're either beginning and starting out. We talked about today about how to find great investment properties. You take your lead generation, your funnel, down from leads to opportunities to closings. We had 4 key areas to find deals. The criteria or what kind of property am I looking for? So we talked about you need to determine what it is that you're looking for and which direction you want to go to. We're talking about criteria, the type, the economic impact on those, condition, and then who can help me? Who can help us find these agents? I'd love for the only one to be agents and not me be the only one. But there's FSBOs, the builders, you got landlords and wholesalers, intermediaries, banks, attorneys, that sort of thing. How will I find the property, marketing, and then which ones are real properties and which ones are the imposters. So tune into the Facebook page, guys, if you want to look back on the show. You can find out kind of what we talked about today. Dan, I really appreciate you coming on today. Thank you guys for listening to the Memphis Real Estate Hour. We'll be back next Tuesday at 8 a.m. Right here on the new 107.9 FM, The Voice.
CBS News at the top of every hour and the most local talk in the Mid-South. This is KWAM Memphis.
CBS News, I'm Deborah Rodriguez.